Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be reviewing The Path of Daggers by Robert Jordan. And then before I get into my review, let me just say, I know I've been doing a lot of book reviews recently, and that is because I was doing one review a week. But then when everything with the coronavirus and quarantine hit, I had a lot more free time to read. And so then, like, the amount I was reading, like, wasn't on pace with, like, one book a week. And so, like, I'm, like, way behind in terms of, like, book, like, reviewing the books that, I've already read. And so I'm going to be doing more reviews to kind of get back to caught up to where I was. That way I'm doing the reviews like closer to when I actually like finish the books. So without further ado though, so spoiler alert for this book, I am going to be going in depth on my thoughts on it. And I enjoyed this book, but it was by no means my favorite Wheel of Time book. But the like the silver lining is that I know that this is like what people consider to be the slog of the series, and if this is the slog, then I think we're doing pretty good. Like I enjoy this if this is the slog, because I could totally see like enjoying a reread on this. I was worried that like the slog would be so bad that like there would be like books that like I wouldn't read like on a reread. That is not going to be the case. I definitely plan on rereading this book. And so yeah, so I really enjoyed it. And so first off, let's start off with I took a couple notes down. So with when Avienda, this is gonna be a little all over the place, but I just have notes on like parts of the book that I enjoyed. So when Avienda, when she unraveled the weave, and then like everybody was like, oh, like you shouldn't do that. I was like, that's gonna come back and hurt her in the end. But it didn't. It hurt Elaine, which like I actually really like Elaine, but like I constantly find myself kind of uninterested in the story that she's involved in. And I don't know why, but because I really find her interesting as a character. I find honestly all three of Rand's love interests, I find them really interesting. Avienda, Min, and Elaine. Um, but I just don't care for where Elaine is most of the time, and I don't know why. Like I'll be like, ooh, an Elaine chapter, and then I'm like, ah, this is kind of boring. But I still like her, so it's hopefully her like she becomes involved in more interesting scenarios. And then I really liked when Perrin and Fail when they found Morghese, but they didn't know that it was Morghese. Like I really love unreliable narrators. And like I feel like this is like that is a situation that I feel like will be really like humorous when it's the TV show, like when you have these characters who like don't know each other and they're like interacting, and I just feel like that will play off really well. I feel like the same thing will happen when with Swan. Like Swan had a bunch of instances, not in this book, but where people didn't know who she was, and like I just feel like stuff like that plays out really well on TV, and in books too. I mean, I really liked it. Fayu likes getting yelled at, which is kind of strange. It's just interesting. I feel like it actually does lend to her character. I don't know why, but it like really fits, and so it is an interesting little character piece. But then when Fail got captured, I know that Perrin is probably going to have a showdown with the Shido now, and that's going to be really cool because I feel like Perrin is not going to like that Fail was taken, and I'm a fan of bloodthirsty Perrin. I'm a fan of Perrin that wants to go crack some skulls. His story in the Shadow Rising was awesome, and that was when he had just lost his family and he went into just just time to kill mode, and that was really interesting. That was a really cool like character development for him because like I feel like he's kind of this like nice guy. He's like really big, but he has this like nice attitude. But him becoming like more like hard and ruthless, I feel like would be really interesting. Next is kind of a criticism, but it's a good criticism because I find Logain to be such a cool character. Like I have constantly wanted more Logain. Ever since the first book, I thought that he was so cool, and then he lost his ability to channel, and I'm like, oh, he's a lot less cool now. But I still thought he was kind of cool, and then he got his channeling back, and I'm like, let's go. We're gonna get some really cool stuff. They said he's as strong as he ever was. I was like, this is gonna be awesome. And like I feel like he wasn't even in the last book. Maybe I'm forgetting, but I feel like he wasn't even in book 7. And in this book he's barely in it, and I'm just like, give me some cool stuff with Logain. That is what I'm like. I don't know. That I would really like to see more involved with Logain. But then I feel like the highlight of this book was the parts with Rand. I feel like the Rand chapters are almost always the most interesting chapters, and I just feel like it's because he's such a cool character. I really liked when Rand went to go. He basically wanted to go stop the Shan Chen, and he like basically like I guess he like went crazy when he was using Kalendor, and he like started hitting his own people. Like he was hitting everybody, and I really like that because I feel like it really raises the stakes for just like how unstable Rand is becoming. And while he's still super powerful, like I like that there are repercussions to what he does, and I feel like him having repercussions, like him exerting his power and knowing that it will hurt, like say innocent people, for example, I feel like we'll set up some really interesting choices later in the series. And so I'm hoping that that's kind of the path that Robert Jordan decides to go, because I think that that would be really interesting. I One of my favorite parts is Luz Theron is like the ultimate troll. I loved when he goes. I even wrote the quote down because it's so interesting. He goes, "I would not mind you in my head if you're not so clearly mad." And it's just like Luz Theron is literally like what's like driving him crazy, and like one of the main reasons that he's going crazy. And like it's just a troll. It's just such a troll line. I found that so funny. And then I liked it when the Maidens of the Spear just decided to beat up Rand because like he like dishonored them, and then just Rand was cool with it. Like he just so he I love that he like lets them push him around so much. They're like always making fun of him and making jokes about him, and then like it was one of the books a while back. Like he like tried to make a joke with them. He did like this little like dad humor, and it was like so funny because like they didn't get it. But I like love his relationship with the Maidens of the Spear, and that they can just beat him up if they feel like it. And he's just kind of gonna take it. And then I felt like this book it ended in a interesting way. I liked Rand killing the Oshaman. It was dark, but it was cool, and I feel like the Oshaman are honestly one of my favorite aspects of the series at this point. I feel like they're just so unstable, and I feel like there's so much danger with them, and I feel like the stakes are so high, and I feel like there's this stigma against men channeling, and I honestly feel like this is going to be a series where the stigma kind of like existed for a reason, and this is not going to go well. I feel like ever since like book 6 when we're kind of introduced to the Black Tower, it had it was something that should be feared, and I don't know if ramifications of it will ultimately be good or bad. But regardless, I think it's super interesting. I also feel like this is like one of the only books that like didn't end with a big battle with either the Dark One or the Forsaken at the end. Or I guess technically, he's never battled the Dark One because we found out that it was it was one of the Forsaken that he'd been battling up to this point. But like I mean, Eye of the World, he battles those two Forsaken as well as like who we think is the Dark One then, and then he also battles in second book battles who we think is the Dark One. Third book battles and kills who we thought was the Dark One, but it wasn't. It was one of the Forsaken. And then book 4, he battles Asmodean. You know, book 5 he battles who did he battle in book 5? The person who was is Gabriel was like his name, but that wasn't his real name. Oh well, the guy that was married to Morgaze kind of. He battles him. Book 6 was the Dumai Wells. So I guess that wasn't a that didn't have anything to do with any of the Dark One. And then the last book had Samael. And so it's just really interesting that like this was a book that didn't do that, but I thought that it was still a really strong ending. I thought that Rand and Min's interaction like at the end was like really interesting. Like Min is definitely doing the best of all Rand's love interests. Like she's right there. She's in the thick of things. I'm rooting for Aviendha and Elaine too because I think that they're awesome. I don't know who like I want to win out. I don't even know if one has to win out. If this is like gonna just go with all three of them, that would be weird. But it might be interesting. And so anyway, I enjoyed this book. It wasn't my favorite by any means, but I mean, if this is the slog, I'm here for it. Like that if it can stay at this quality, if this is the lowest it ever gets, like that's cool. I hope it gets better, obviously, but if this is like the low point, I'm fine with that. And so yeah, if you guys enjoyed this review, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you guys disagreed with anything I said, please leave a comment down below. But if you enjoyed the video, I already said that. Have a